Okay, so welcome everybody to our weekly show that deals with issues that go on in South Africa as well as Africa in general. Today we're going to be focusing on South Africa. I have Lerato Kuzwaya who's here with me. He's in Pretoria. We're on the same scape. I'm in Washington, D.C. How's everything, Lerato?
Oh man, everything is good, man. Everything is okay.
Okay. Yeah, well, it looks like in South African and American politics, it's rubbish, man. In
It's
America, you have a
totally
duopoly. You have the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, which is one party, and the corruption is unbelievable. The types of money they send out to go to wars and everything comes right back to them. And based on what we're talking today in South Africa, seems like it's the same
yeah.
thing. Corruption, Zuma, Shivambu, Malema, um, the how's the last name? Simani, the judge, and
Simelane,
Similani, yeah. And
Simelane.
what we're seeing is a recurrent,
Yeah,
how is it pronounced? Yeah, yeah. It seems like it's a recurring theme. Even DA, all of these people are going to the same pot of gold. It seems like so many hands are in VBS, which makes me say now that it's widespread loan corruption. I won't call it, people are saying looting, it is looting, but the way they're doing it is sophisticated. They have so that there's no paper trail right back to them because they'll say, "Oh, I wanted a loan. I have a right to get a loan." But usually the company that helps them secure the loan uses fraud. But sometimes there's when you look at the paper trail, there's no definite connection between the people who give the loan and the person who takes the loan, which is a minister or someone within a party. What do you think, Lorato? Yeah.
yeah. I think that the way that the VBS scandal worked was via loans.
Yeah.
In terms of how they gave out money,
Yeah.
because of what I think was sort of like the modus operandi was that either municipalities and political parties would open accounts with VBS,
Yeah.
um, yeah, so that they could be there on the books, and then they would get loans for huge sums of money. Like in Timbi Simelani's case, I think it was about half a million rands or something like that.
Yeah, but hold on. But I think she secured hers privately, not through uh
Narrative is hanging
agent.
over
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Zuma's repayments of apparently that was also paid via loan as well from VBS.
Yeah. So
So
what I
yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah.
so with Seminari's own, I think she got the loan as a private loan through the bank so that it looks like it's above, well, technically it looks like it's above board because she didn't come as a political organization when she got that loan. But those loans are linked to the people who helped her, the company that helped her get the loans. They are linked to corruption and misappropriation of funds. And we know that her loan was for her, supposedly for her coffee shop. So in that case, it wouldn't be misappropriation of loan money because she didn't come with the front as being a political party or like EFF trying to use the money for party
Yeah,
reasons.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah.
she was at the time she was a mayor,
Yeah, she used influence. She used influence. Yeah,
so she was
yeah,
a mayor.
yeah,
And what the VBS officials were trying to do is to get all these municipalities to bank with the VBS. So this is why it looks like a bribe.
yeah, yeah. It does.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah. So, and I agree with you. I think it is a bribe, but at least formally, the paperwork makes it look like it's just an impersonal loan that she's
the
getting.
personal loan that she's getting, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
but
yeah.
she's linked to. First of all, it looks like circumstantially she has evidence of being able to influence and get those loans. And she's linked, and the method by which the loan was gotten was fraudulent, whether she knew it or not, because she didn't qualify for that type of loan, which means they had to do some doctoring of numbers and things so that she qualifies. So that's still a form of that's still fraud. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of those facts I think that would be coming up because I think a lot of these issues that involve VBS still somewhat sub judice or prima facie. I don't know
Yeah,
which legal term it is that they use, but it's still things that still need to be sort of validated
yeah,
during the court trials
yeah.
that they
But
will be going through.
but
But of course, a lot of these things are seen from the perspective that Matozi has already been convicted and for bank fraud and various other crimes. So it looks, yeah, it looks shifty.
no, it does. And once again, back to the Mpumalanga thing and to where um Shivambu and EFF, they have a lot of power in that area, part of the country. And you're seeing now a pattern of those banks being used by politicians to basically loot the wealth of poor people. And a lot of poor people have suffered from this, and this makes them look very bad. It makes the EFF look bad. Now with Similane, she's with ANC, and it's going to be interesting to see if ANC takes any action against her. But they can just say this is just one of our members, so it doesn't look bad. So once again, ANC and DA don't seem to have any links to this thing. Similani does seem to have it, but they can just say that's a regional thing because that's where she was, and she's just one bad apple in our party. You see what I'm saying? But the
Yeah,
EFF,
yeah, yeah.
EFF and MK look like it's clear that they're involved in some heavy core fraud, and it makes the party look bad. And then you've got guys like Shivamba who's left who says Zuma is my leader. Okay, but that's not what you were saying last year when you were saying a lot of your Marxist rhetoric. You know, not Marxist rhetoric. When you said that you were Marxist or you said that you were for land redistribution, now you say Zuma is my leader. So you're now going to someone who is ideologically not opposed but different to what you were. So it makes it look like you didn't really believe in your ideology, but you want your followers to. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean, there's been a lot of sort of like flip-flopping, with regards to guys like Floyd. There was a clip that someone posted from an SABC interview where Floyd was saying, "No, Jacob Zuma is going to jail,"
Yeah.
um, and and this is what they,
And now he's
uh,
your leader. Yeah.
yeah,
Now you're
this is what
praising him.
they're advocating for,
Hmm.
for 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 Jacob Zuma to be imprisoned and all those things. I was like, no, this guy is going to be imprisoned, and we will settle for nothing less. He must pay for his crimes
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. And now all of a sudden, Jacob Zuma is the leader of the
Yeah.
most revolutionary party.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and there's actually a lot happening at MK, with a lot of these party members who sort of are also like defectors from the
Yeah.
ANC. A lot of defectors from the ANC.
Yeah.
Uh, there's another party, I think, founder of the party, Sarah, who also has quit her party
This
to
thing
go and.
basically tenders. Being a political party person, all these
Uh,
it's just tenders now. All these small they're just looking for tenders. That's all.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
That,
and a lot of these guys, because the MK did lay off a lot of, I think about 18 members of parliament. So a
mm,
lot of these guys who used to be CEOs of the parastatals
yeah.
and things like that during the Zuma terms are now being sworn into
Yeah.
parliament
This
as
is
members of
cronyism.
parliament under the
In the
MK.
US they call this cronyism. Yeah. It's cronyism. Or in Britain they call it cronyism. This is terrible. And this is how
Yeah, yeah,
the Soviet Union fell apart too, the same way because there was so much corruption that the state totally failed. And what we're seeing in South Africa, with this level of corruption in which a bank can be looted and the working class or even the poor and the agricultural class are totally destroyed. It's look like we're heading there towards a state that's going to be totally failed, and it's still going to be run by DA and ANC basically. Because these guys are, and then let's go to the thing you talked about with DA. I mean, they have racist rhetoric coming out of Gauss. He goes down, but he's still in parliament sitting and enjoying. they're just kind of like chastising him, but he's still functioning. Then they bring in this new guy. What's his name? Starts with a C. Cavabo. What's his name? The guy that they that
is it Roman? I don't know if it's Roman Kabaka or something.
Yeah, something like that. They bring him in. Yeah.
Apparently,
And then they bring him, and he has the same profile as Dow's. He's right wing. He said that that the shooting of Sharpeville, we have to look at all the facts because the story is one side. Yeah. So it shows you that what the EFF, what DA is doing is they're laughing at us. They're actually doubling down on their domination in politics, which says we can even bring more right wing into our party. It's an act of defiance to send a message to South Africa that even you supposedly had one guy who stepped down, Gauss. He's actually still sitting in parliament and still functioning. And then now I'm going to bring in someone else who's even worse than he is. So it's a sign of power, kind of like how Israel is bombing Palestine with impunity. This is showing that we can do whatever we want. Similarly, Ramaphosa will never be forced to step down. So what you're seeing now is Zuma had to flee to MK. Mbeki was also pushed out, but now you have Zuma, who represents the corporate sector of South Africa, and you have the DA, which represents the sort of the right wing, and those two are solid. Whereas the rest of this corruption is undermining MK and EFF. But I think MK is it looks like it's Zuma's cash cow too. Anyway, what are your thoughts? We go back to what we're talking about with the DA. Yeah.
I mean, it does seem like they want to sort of put together. It's like putting the band back together, kind of a thing, because this is a group of people that worked together during the Zuma years, and now that they sort of feel rejected during the Ramaphosa era, they went. But this faction kind of politics within the ANC reared its head when Ramaphosa was running for versus Nkosazana Zuma. There was like a Nkosazana Zuma camp and a Ramaphosa camp, or a CR17 camp. This was in 2017. But of course, these are factions that have been there for quite, even in 2007 when Thabo Mbeki had to step down. It was because of the Zuma faction versus the Mbeki faction, or
and it's the continue. But now we're seeing that there's no faction which is challenging Ramaphosa now that's going to push him out the way those other two were pushed out. And I think was Mbeki involved a little bit within that within the arms scandal that Zuma is going to have to answer. I think Mbeki might have been slightly involved in that. Was he? I'm not sure. Yeah.
The arms deal.
Yeah. Mbeki might have. He was there at the periphery.
I think all the major ANC guys were sort
they were involved in it.
Yeah. This was a national arms deal. It was.
And my question is, where did those arms go? Where did those arms end up? That's the bigger question, not just the corruption. Because that's my bigger question is, and I don't know, I'm not asking that question rhetorically, but it's a big question. There was an arms deal, but so where arms were sold to South Africa, right?
Yeah, no, they were sent.
And where did those arms go? Did they go to the military? Did they go to crime?
To the National Defense Force, to the military.
So hopefully they went to the military, because if that's the case, then the corruption would be what aspect of the corruption would be really harmful? That's the point I'm trying to make. Was this really damaging?
I think the idea of corruption comes in with in terms of like choosing a supplier.
To me, I hate to say this, but it sounds less. They're making money off of the contracts, but it sounds less bad than taking money out of a bank that belongs to people who are poor, money that belongs to the poor.
No, it's not. I suppose it's not as. It's just as, because you're using public funds that should be used.
But the thing is that those funds will still be for those weapons anyway. It's just a matter of who's the contractor. But I see what you're saying, and the contractor will overcharge the government, so that's a way of looting the government for people's money also.
And in order for him to be able to pay kickbacks to all the people
Yeah,
that
so it's
make
still, yeah, it's still, but it just goes to show you because South Africa continually gets. Because I remember I'm saying the joke. Nigeria is was a lot more corrupt than South Africa. So when South Africa, you first started hearing corruption, like remember when they got that judge? Was it Judge Lope? They got him a pair of shoes or something, $200,000 shoes. I was
yeah
laughing. I was like, that's small money. But every year, it seems like the corruption in South Africa is reaching now the level of the U.S. and Nigeria, and that's dangerous because
yeah
South Africa has a lot of social problems with crime, with gender-based violence, with addiction and stuff. So it's going to be more harmful to South Africa if as the corruption continues. What do you think? Yeah.
yeah. No, there were also reports that I think Thabo Mbeki also got a pair of shoes, and that's what he got from the
Yeah, but I
auntie.
was laughing. Everybody in Nigeria was laughing because that's not even considered corruption. It's just considered a gift.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
But
Yeah,
now the level of
no,
corruption is getting to a high level in South Africa. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah. So I mean, we have been dealing with that, and
Yeah.
I suppose
That was a
it,
good one. I brought that back from my memory bank in my brain, the shoe story. I remember that stuff, man.
yeah. I mean, it's strange that it's like seen as corruption in the way that it's being reported, when it
Yeah.
seems to me like everyone knows this is how these things operate.
Yeah.
You know, it looks like daily operational thing, and it only becomes corruption when they want to take you down for
Yeah,
for
and let's
something.
focus. They're focusing on shoes and even the arms contract, which is bad. But let's go to deeper stuff. The DEA is misappropriating funds in the Western Cape to help the rich and the landowner, and they have one of the worst gang violence problems in the world. The worst in South Africa by the most. The Western Cape. You know what I'm talking about. The
Yeah,
violence is
yeah,
out of control, and it's a dirty secret. And everybody says, "Oh, the DA has service delivery." They don't do service delivery to the Khayelitsha or to the Cape Flats. No, it's not those areas. It's to Observatory and to the Bay where people live and have money. You understand what I'm saying? You know.
yeah,
So
yeah. No,
yeah,
no, for
and the
sure. I
crime
mean,
in Western Cape is terrible. Criminals from Eastern Europe come there as a haven, and there's a lot of assassinations which go on there, and they're pumping money into the areas where the colors live to build gangs, which help them do worldwide. Thank God I'm not South African now; they'll come after me. But to do worldwide criminal activities, from fraud to identity theft to drugs. What any thoughts, Larato? Yeah.
yeah. I think there's a sister friend of mine who's also a thinker, who's been thinking around this idea of how the Western Cape seems to have like tiers of citizenship, you know,
Yeah. Hmm.
that are based mainly on wealth, and in
It's
Cape Town
basically a
wealth,
feudal system. Feudal. Yeah.
yeah, and in Cape Town wealth is very resonates a lot with race.
Mhm.
Like the wealthy people mostly are white people. And I think, I mean, you when you even read old newspaper clips of Mandela campaigning under the ANC, they had doubts that they would ever be able to win the Western Cape. Um,
So you
and
don't
so
even
the
try. You don't need to try.
yeah, so the DA has had that space as a stronghold, um, and what that has done is that it's created a clear chasm of inequality between the haves and the have-nots. I mean, if whenever there is any kind of a rainstorm in Cape Town, you will see who are the people that struggle the most. It's people
Oh yeah.
and people in Guguletu and things like that, in those quarter camps, because people don't have housing. Um, and of course, even before this sort of new democratic dispensation, these townships were built to be, like it's like very small streets, small houses,
Yeah.
just like, hostel locations, the projects basically, you
Yeah.
know.
So
So those problems are legacy problems from apartheid that still exist to this day.
Yeah,
that the Democratic Alliance has not been able
yeah.
to
And this is
adequately
going to
address.
sound controversial, but I always tell the truth. So there is a relationship between in the Western Cape between the colored and the Afrikaans in which the colors will never, ever rebel against them. It's like, oh, the idea, oh, those are our cousins. I guess it's a linguistic connection. So it means that there won't be any type of revolutionary. And when I say revolution, I don't mean violence, but there won't be any pushback from the colored population. And the black population is too low there to ever have any political power. You see what I'm saying? So it will continue like that into perpetuity. You understand what I'm saying? Unless outside unless South Africa is seen as a true federation, so that people within the country who are another province that say no, it can't continue with this type of disparity between the rich. Because I lived in Cape Town and literally with the colors, I don't know if it's a denial thing. They do not see the Afrikaans as their oppressors. They don't see them as their oppressors at all. I'm speaking generally. What do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, it's the tiers of citizenship,
Yeah.
I was
Like you were saying. Yeah.
like I was alluding to. I think um, the what you refer to as like the Cape colored seen has always been seen in some ways as sort of like a second class
Yeah.
uh, citizen, where else then the black citizens would be at the bottom.
Yeah.
So there's always been those tensions between
But
the
also, what
black.
I would like to say is, but it seems like there's no tension between those groups. So, for example, if you go to Gauteng, you see like whites and black. I'm not saying that there's a little bit more kickback coming from both sides, but it seems like everybody accepts that caste system in Western Cape, and nobody questions it. Maybe I'm wrong. The people who live there.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I think there are people who are addressing it and questioning it,
Yeah.
and there's always been a narrative to push. I think this is also another great point that Black consciousness tried to push for. To say immediately when someone classifies you as non-white, because this is what the white monopoly capitalist oppressive
Yeah.
system
Yeah.
is, that it classified everyone as non-white, um, and of course the those colored people would not pass for whites in those things, even though they would suffer less of that oppression.
Yeah.
uh,
Which is why you even had some black people who were asked to be classified, who, like the photographer, who was classified as colored, because that's
yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit better.
There are a lot of black people. I mean, when you speak about this idea of caste and people who pass
Yeah.
for an other race,
Yeah.
there were a lot of colored people who would pass for white and who sort of then maneuvered into uh,
Yeah.
that class.
That's a topic for another show where are
Yeah,
there even any legitimate, sometimes it's legitimate, but are there any really legitimate classifications of race anyway? I mean, especially in those
anyway,
boundaries where, especially
sure,
between the
sure.
black and the colored, because they have a mixed gene pool there. So that
Yeah, I mean, this is
even with
yeah,
the San, who are Africans. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah.
yeah,
But that's
yeah, yeah.
the San may be light skinned, but they're it's just like in Nigeria, you have people who are light skinned. So this gets to what is black anyway? Is it a skin tone? There are other features. It's very, the science is very dubious. I think there's some validity to it, but it's dubious to some extent. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a huge sort of population of people that we classify as coloreds who are actually not coloreds,
Yeah.
who are actually either Nama or Khoi or
Yeah. Yeah.
Khoi, or any of those other
Yeah.
nationalities that existed pre-colonially.
And
So
probably
so
genetically their
and
DNA is in most people there. And then there's people who came from Malaysia and India, but that's might be a core thing that you see throughout even all the even groups there's still some trace of
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
DNA, the sign, and all those different groups you were talking
yeah.
about. Yeah. Yeah.
No, for sure. So there are all those dynamics, and at the same time, then you have the governing party being this ultra white, ultra right kind
Yeah.
of looking conservative party that seems to be leaning more right with the kind of appointments that they're making and
Yeah.
things like that, you know, with this guy Kabanek,
Yeah.
who
And to be
who I
honest with you,
think,
go ahead, continue. The guy, they
yeah,
claim he's a lawyer. The guy is a influencer. That's all. Go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. No, I think yeah, they did say something about him having a degree in law. Uh, Although he's being called up to work in the Department
Agriculture.
of Agriculture. Um,
Well,
but
you know what?
but
Steenhuisen said, oh, I finally said his name well. I can say the Dutch name well, right? Let me stop. He said that, oh, he doesn't need to know about agriculture because he's inward looking. He's just a bureaucrat who does paperwork and stuff. Man,
he
come
does
on, man.
paperwork.
Continue. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, continue.
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but some of the utterances that this guy has made have been made in public. You know, I mean,
Especially that one about Sharpeville. That's the most heinous one I read. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Making crazy utterances about almost like Alex Jones saying that that school shooting
In the
was
U.S.,
made up and it
it
was
was made
fake.
up. Yeah. It's just crazy. That's a
Yeah.
very dangerous sign because it means that these guys are moving far, far, far to the extreme right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Same
no,
thing in
I
the U.S.
think
This is a pattern all over the world now because with this new economic,
yeah,
with the breakdown of white supremacy, we're seeing more right wing movement because they don't consider the Russians to be white. They consider the Russians to be Eurasians. So as China and Eurasia do better, and places like Spain, which have agriculture, which are considered to be less European, as they do better, you're seeing a reaction all over the world in which those countries are losing their power, especially countries with right wing population like the U.S. with no white supremacists, fully white supremacists. You're seeing a reaction. They're panicking. So now it's a right wing reaction because you have to blame people of color for it. Yeah, continue. Sorry.
yeah, yeah. No, I don't think they're moving any further to the right than what they've
Oh
always
yeah, yeah.
been.
So what it is
It's
they're
just
taking off their mask.
they
That's all. Yeah,
yeah, they're a lot more
that's all. They're
vocal
just more
about it
vocal.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy was openly supporting
And also they have more power. So the reason they haven't had power, but now they have more power because the states are collapsing because of liberal corruption, which is what Zuma stands. No, not Zuma. Ramaphosa stands for liberal corruption, where everything is allowed
yeah.
and there's open. So now that the liberal corruption has led to the total breakdown of everything, the right wing can come and say, "Oh, you see, it's their fault." Yeah, continue. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he makes those kinds of utterances about how the Bantu are doing.
Yeah, and
Uh,
he keeps using that word Bantu. He won't call out the specific groups of people. He'll just say Bantu, which is he's doing that on
yeah.
purpose too. Yeah,
No,
continue.
for sure. It's a purposeful utterance meant
Yeah,
to sort of evoke some kind of
yeah.
like
It's almost. I mean,
diminutive
the word.
state of
It depends on what the word. It's almost like using the word darky. I've never understood why people in South Africa use that word as if it's normal. Darky. I don't like that at all, man. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. No, man. There's a lot of things here that go about as normal and
Even
like
colored itself in the U.S. That's not if with black people. It's not considered to be a very nice term. But yeah, but continue. You know.
yeah to be considered colored. Yeah, it's such a layered word.
Yeah, yeah.
But here it means
Yeah, it has
something
a different
completely
meaning, but
different.
still, But whenever we talk about the Afrikaner or those groups or the whites, we just call them that. There's no other nicknames for them. That, except for white,
Sure.
of course. And apparently, white means great. That's the connotation of white now that is accepted all over the world because of 600 years of racial reprogramming, meant psychological reprogramming. But yeah, we're getting a little bit off topic. So yeah, so we were talking about so we talked about the DA and God, but let's end with Zuma. So Zuma's trial, which should have been done by 2008, continues to expand. It just shows you how much power, how much corruption is even within the legal system. This should have been settled a long time ago, but it just continues to linger. And his enemies are trying to use it against him, but also he's powerful enough to keep on pushing it forward. So this is it's either that he's being attacked for political motivation, and also that he's corrupt and has power if he can continue to avoid the thing. Can you want to speak on it, please? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, what they have been doing is that they've been moving the goalpost
yeah. Kicking the
every
can down
hearing.
the street.
Yeah, so I think, and I think it's going to keep being that until uh, Zuma goes. I think until he dies, they're going to keep appealing this, um, so he ends up not central. Because
Yeah,
yeah, they've been arguing for a change of prosecutor. I think ever since the beginning of
yeah.
that
I'm going to
he should
reframe
he
my
should
statement.
recuse himself.
Yeah, I'm going to
And this thing was denied, and now
yeah.
Jacob Zuma is
Is he out? Hello, are you there?
sure.
Yeah, your other one went out, but it's okay. I was gonna make a quick statement. No, finish your thought because you were breaking it first. Finish your thought that you were saying before.
No, yeah, I was just saying that what has been happening is that they've been kicking the can down the road.
Yeah,
They went to remove the prosecutor, and that motion was denied.
yeah,
But then they back in the courts appealing it
yeah,
again. And yeah, I think they'll keep doing that, and they'll keep bringing other complications to the trial,
yeah.
so that eventually Zuma
He'll
does
die
not
before.
stand trial at all.
I hope he lives for a long time, but he'll die before he ever goes to court. That's in other words,
So, so
yeah, which is okay, but hopefully he can live longer. I want to say though, I'll take back my words. Zuma's survival throughout these scandals that he's had, which are no worse than the other politicians, but are bad. It's not just to corruption; it's to shows you the solidarity of the Zulu people. So I think that's where his main power comes because if anything happens to him, those guys are going to riot. And I'm saying that I'm not saying that disrespectfully because Wyatt has a back, but they're not going to stand for it. I always go back to he was the one that stopped. There was almost a civil war in KwaZulu Natal violence, civil violence, and he was the person that negotiated the peace. So the Zulu people really love him, and they love him to a fault. So they're not going to let anything happen. What do you think? What are your thoughts? I think that's his main power right there. What do you think? Yeah,
yeah, there were those riots that happened in June or July in the winter of 2021.
yeah,
After he was convicted for um, not appearing in front of the commission, the State Capture Commission.
yeah.
Um, I don't know if you remember the unrest that happened
I
that
remember.
time.
Yeah, I don't know. See, I remember hearing about it, but on the surface, I don't know what was going on. But I remember that it was tough. It was really tough. Yeah.
No, no, no. It was chaotic. It was
And also in
chaotic.
2006 and 2007, I used to see people walking around with Zuma T-shirts when that first thing about corruption was coming, and when they wanted to kick out in Becky. So I've seen, and I remember when I was walking through the airport and when I was in Durban, you could see the atmosphere. There were like flags of him, and they were talking about that power struggle between him. But yeah, I remember in 2021, and it was basically they were threatening that if this guy gets convicted or goes has to go to court, we're gonna bring chaos to the country. Yeah, continue. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that is the time he actually was in prison.
Oh yeah, he was in
Um,
prison. Yeah, and oh yeah, I remember that
yeah,
we were there for how long? 100 and something days or so. Yeah,
yeah. I don't think it was even 100 days. Maybe it
yeah.
was. I can't remember. But then he
But I was
he got
surprised
out.
they put him in jail. I was like, that was a very bold move. I remember when that happened. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And that's when the riots happened.
yeah,
And it was planned by people inside, um, like higher up in like the ANC branches
yeah,
there in Cape Town and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, and
I mean,
and
come on.
and this
I'm not trying to stand up for cronyism, but can you imagine if they had put Donald Trump behind jail in America? Can you imagine what the right wing people would have done, or the you
no,
understand? So my point being is very. I hate to say this, but you have to show some level of respect for because they would never do that to Steenhuisen or someone like that. Even though the the key, I hate to say it, but these guys at that level, why is Zuma being put in a jail to humiliate him like that when there's been other corruption? So it means that it was politically motivated. Even though you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't think they
yeah,
really care. They didn't really care about solving corruption in South Africa. The people who put him in
yeah,
jail, but then
yeah. I
it was
think
for
that, that
contempt of court, right? That's why they put him, right? Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So I think that was the narrative, that this was
yeah,
a political move. Um, and also, I mean, there were actually some valid reasons why Zuma did not want to appear in front of that commission.
yeah,
What he had said was that Tim and Judge Zondo, who was overseeing the commission, had a personal relationship, and he felt that it would not be fair
yeah,
for him
yeah,
to oversee the trial, which on many levels was actually true. Like, this guy were attended Zuma's son's or daughter's marriage and things like that. Like, they really had
yeah.
a pretty
So there's
friendly,
entanglement. Yeah,
relationship. Um, but of
conflict of
course,
interest.
this was also some kind of like political maneuvering on the
Yeah,
side of Zuma to say, there are these things that you have to consider
yeah,
before I come and appear in front of the commission.
yeah.
Um,
Even though he's using it in he's he's using it in a cynical way. He's using that loophole in a cynical way. You understand
in
what
a
I'm saying?
very
Because it'll be
in a
different if
very
it was someone who
cynical way.
knew me before and we were enemies in high school. You get my point? But these
Sure,
guys
sure,
might have been
sure.
friends. So yeah, but Zuma's clever. Yeah, we have to head out. But the main thing is that all of this is troubling because it shows you that within every single party in South of the main parties in South Africa, there's corruption or racist rhetoric and everything. Mismanagement. Western Cape is being mismanaged. It has a feudal system. Uh, in Mpumalanga, those parts of the country are losing resources because of bank looting, and the ANC continues to stand as cynically capitalist. So that means that the outcome is what's going to happen on the streets of South Africa, in the townships, in the suburbs. More violence, more dysfunction, more gender-based violence, more addiction. Because the country is corrupt, which means two things: it's not functioning to solve those problems, and also the money that's needed to solve those problems is not being addressed, and also Black consciousness is not being addressed. Nobody's addressing a human agenda in South Africa because all the politicians are jockeying for money, and those money is actually the natural resources of the country. What are your thoughts, Lorazzo? Then you can take us out. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think, I mean, in terms of like the government of national unity, what it's looking like now, and this is happening almost at every level of government,
Mhm.
be it at a council level, municipality level, or at the national level. There's a lot of infighting within the parties, and then there's fighting between the parties.
Yeah,
So there's inter-party and intra-party fighting,
yeah,
and it looks like people are jostling for positions, of course, because the GNU has sort of made these positions sort of like a scarce resource.
yeah.
This is also why this chief of staff for agriculture with the DA comes to the fourth,
But
because
have you
this is
noticed
a
nobody's
position that
talking about policies? It's just about I want my position. I would love to be in a party, and I
exactly.
don't, and I would love to be in a party, and I don't have to jockey for positions because all I'm concerned about is strategically, are we reaching our agenda? Sort of like in Glossy, he does that. Continue. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the things, that interestingly, Floyd said, when he joined the MK. He said that he's not there for positions and all those things. He's there to run a policy direction. You
Yeah.
know, um, which is something that he could have done just as well at the EFF.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what the new platform, like I said previously, presents
Yeah,
to him that was not presented in the
but I
previous
think
one.
Ndosi has done a good job of not of keeping quiet, and he hasn't left EFF. If he can do those two things, I think he's okay. What do you think? And then we'll end with that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think
Because there were rumors
um,
that he was going to pop up on MK. Even I was about to confirm it. Continue. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. No, I think he's a pretty principled guy, man.
yeah, yeah,
I don't think uh, we should worry about him sort of
yeah.
losing
And
track
I
on
think he
what he
should stay
stands
because
for.
he's a constant in EFF. The longer he stays
Yeah.
there, yeah.
He's been on that stance before there was even an EFF. You know, there's
Oh yeah, remember I told you I
um,
used to have debates with him at they call it the Pig at Wits, that place where the graduate students drink beer.
yeah.
And
I mean,
yeah, that was years
there's
before, and I was like, oh yeah, this guy's smart. He knows what he's talking about. Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
there's a video interview of him at the SABC. I think when he was in matric or in
Okay.
grade 11 or something, like
Oh yeah, I've seen
pre-matric.
that. So he's been doing this from a very young age.
So
He's sort of a prodigy. Yeah,
yeah, he's been very consistent.
yeah.
And
Hey, you
one of
never know.
course,
One day he might be the ruler of the country, but that might be 20 years down the line. Continue. Yeah.
yeah. I think it would be great to see someone like him really
He reminds me a little bit of Mbeki, and at least I'm not talking about corruption, but both they're intellectuals, both of
in
them. Yeah,
terms
go
of
ahead. Yeah,
their intellectual stature, you know.
yeah,
Yeah, I think his position in sort of influencing the politics of the day needs to be elevated a little bit more, and
yeah. I think so.
I think he has great ideas that will push us to in the right direction as a country.
He just doesn't
Um,
have the he doesn't have the and I'm using the word charisma, not he doesn't go over the top like people like Malema and he doesn't have that showmanship. He's more about let's get these things done. He's not putting himself, he's not playing games and being a showman with people like Trump or Mussolini, all these great figures.
yeah,
But also I've seen him speak to crowds though. He knows how to rock the crowd, but he's not just gonna come on TV and be Austin Chasers for no reason. Yeah, continue. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, for sure.
yeah,
So yeah, so man, so those are all the different sort of
yeah.
political challenges that are facing
It's so
South
complex.
Africa. And yeah, and like I think we said in a previous video as well, it's just like between political parties, everyone is digging everyone's closet to find what
Yeah.
skeleton they have so that they can drag them out in the
Except for
public.
Helen Zilla too. Nobody's going in her closet. She's the boss.
Yeah. So that we can
Oh yeah,
actually
we can
get
head
to
out.
see.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm sure we'll see you on the weekend for F1 information. So
For
have a good
sure,
one.
for
Enjoy
sure,
the
man.
rest of your day. Okay, thank you.
Peace, brother.
Okay.